I have started giving you video lectures on some important topics which are related to literary criticism and literary theory. This is done by me at the request of some of the students who are preparing for a NET examination. Now, in my previous video lecture, I discussed one very important topic, and that is new criticism. Because new criticism cannot be considered as a part of literary theory, but it started a new movement in the history of literary criticism, because so far before 20th century we have actually the evaluation of the text on the basis of biographical historical details of the author. But now in modern criticism, as far as new criticism is concerned, it emphasized on the close reading of the text. New criticism also influenced, some other aspects later on. I'll tell you structuralism and all. But about this new criticism, I told you that new criticism was actually a movement which flourished around 1940s, and the term became popular after the publication of the book New Criticism by John Crowe Ransom. And in that lecture I told you about the basic tenets of new criticism. That new criticism considers the text as an autonomous text, as an autonomous body, an entity in itself, and it focuses on the close reading of the text, excluding all the biographical historical details of the author. Author is not there. Text is an entity in itself, and it has to be evaluated by the critic. I told you about some important new critics also, and I mentioned the name of John Crowe Ransom. I mentioned the name of R.P. Blackmer. I mentioned the name of Clint Brooks, W.K. Wimsatt, and a few more. I also explained the term effective fallacy, intentional fallacy, and also the heresy of paraphrase. Now, there is another very important new critic, and he is Allen Tate. Now, in this video lecture, I'm going to explain that important concept of Allen Tate, and that is very often asked in NET examination. Now, as I have just told you that, for a new critic, a text is an organic whole, is an entity, in itself. These new critics, study the intrinsic worth, literariness of the text. And this intrinsic worth contains, words, arrangement, ambiguity, symbols, paradox, and all that. Now, this focal point of all these new critics varies from person to person. If we consider the name of John Crowe Ransom, so John Crowe Ransom, studied the poem as a texture. We have sometimes the questions in UGC examination that how does Ransom consider the poem? So Ransom studied the poem as a texture. R.P. Warren considers it as a symbol, and Blackmer considers it as a gesture, and Brooks considers it as a paradox. More importantly, Allen Tate considers it a tension, and that is a very important concept which was developed by Allen Tate. Allen Tate wrote an essay called "Tension in Poetry." Now, in that tension of that essay, Tate proposed his formula, which expressed that poetry was the expression of tension. Now, what does he mean by that? He actually analyzed this concept with the help of many poems. His theory is that poetry consists of extension and intention. Now, he has taken two words, extension and intention, and actually extension and intention are the two words, and you can say that the first prefixes are dropped here from the word tension. So by extension he means, he says that extension means the literal meaning of the text, or the denotative meaning, and by intention he meant connotative meaning or the metaphorical meaning. So every text consists of extension and intention. That is, extension means the literal meaning or the denotative meaning, and intention, that is connotative or the metaphorical meaning. Now, what is great poetry actually? Great poetry or the good poetry achieves a balance, an equilibrium between these two parts, means between extension and intention. He proposed that tension connects both extension and intention, and by doing that it makes a poem a coherent whole. And when it makes the poem a coherent whole, that way it gives a poetic pleasure to the readers. So the basic purpose of a critic is to make a balance between these two kinds of tensions, that is extension and intention. So that is the concept of Allen Tate when he said that that every poem consists of two kinds of tensions, extension and intention. Thank you very much.